So with you is Samuel C. Okorie, and I'm known for many things, but more in particular, I am a climate crusader as known globally. I'm also into community engagement, policy negotiations, and providing innovative solutions to address climate change issues across sectors. So today, I know we are all seated here for this particular program, and I know we've all faced climate change issues in one way or the other, either directly or indirectly. For me, I like saying that we have all been affected by climate change-induced disaster, directly, which is what you know about, or indirectly, which is what you don't know about. Probably you don't know that where you're sitting is prone to climate change disasters, or you don't know that the air you're breathing is not clean, or you don't know that the water you're drinking is not clean. So these are the indirect impacts of climate change disasters. And then I'd like to ask a question: why climate action? Why do we think about climate action? Why do we feel climate action is necessary? When we talk about climate action, we think about flood, we think about food and water scarcity, we think about drought and desertification, we think about hot temperatures, we think about more in particular global warming, which is the talk of the day, as we all know, projections by IPCC, projections by scientists, projection by even social and theoretical researchers that have come out to tell us about the adverse effect of climate change in the nearest future, projecting between 2030 and 2050 that we are going to experience high level of induced climate disasters. And we are also thinking about economic and non-economic losses and damages associated with climate change disasters. Today, I'm not here to tell you about what I have done and what I feel you can help me do, even though it's part of it, but I'm here to also tell about my own story, about how climate change affected me, what transpired in my life, and gave birth to the lots of climate actions I've engaged in, and also how people can also be able to engage in the same action to demand for climate justice and get results sustainably. Growing up as a child, I grew up in a family of 7, though 8, but I lost one, and we are currently 7. And then I know how climate change affected us so well that I lived in a flooded house for over 3 years. And I remember one day we were rushed to the hospital. Everybody in my family were hospitalized. And I remember for 3 days I couldn't speak nor hear. So it's more like I was deaf and dumb for 3 days. And part of what caused this was as a result of traumas and shock from the exposures we've had at home, because once it rains, our house gets flooded. We don't have lots of things to eat because the flood destroys most of our foodstuffs and leaves us in lack. So we lost my parents lost their livelihood, and we couldn't go to school as well because the flood affected everything. So our uniform was not there. The road was not even there to access school because of the flood, and we couldn't eat too. So we are also prone to malnutrition. And part of the things that transpired during this time was I was traumatized. I was also getting lots of horrible nightmares because looking at what really happened, at times I feel bad, and I develop potential suicidal thoughts. So at times when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel I'm not good enough because my my peers can go to school, they can have all the good life they want to have and the likes, but my family and I, we are just stuck in this particular situation where we don't have any solution or anything to do. So that was really, really intense. So that developed suicidal thoughts for me to take my own life at a very tender age. And I know some of you be asking, why would they shy at a very tender age, below the age of 15, wants to take his life? And what could that situation be? What could be the worst thing that can make someone think that way? But yeah, that was me because I felt the world has no meaning. I didn't see any essence of living because the essence of living wasn't there. You wake up in the morning trying to sort yourself out, bailing water from your house. And I remember at times once it gets flooded to a very high extent in my house, we will use bricks to raise the ground above our waist level, then use wood to lay on top the bricks and support the bricks with either mats or foam, whichever one that is available at the moment, just to sleep for the night. And you can imagine how horrible that is as a child growing up. So this kept on for over 3 years until we left that place. And for me, I felt if I had known the solution, then I would have done something. Not until we left that place and until I started advocating for climate justice and I started going into negotiations, dialogues, and policy that I realized that the water drainage challenge in that particular community was not good. And also there was no water pathway that could enhance or ensure the easy flow of water in that particular community. And, like they say, knowledge is power. So I guess then I was not knowledgeable enough and the zeal to command the change wasn't there. And this story also, you can see this in this story, you can picture out the climate change induced disasters leading to loss and damage because my family lost their livelihood. I couldn't go to school. Same with my siblings. We couldn't eat well, and we are also infected by disease and illness. So leading to this, in 2021, prior to 2021, I've been volunteering for an organization, for international organizations. And in 2021, I formed an initiative called the Pop Nigeria Initiative. So Pop Nigeria Initiative is an offshoot of the Protect Our Planet movement, which has its headquarters in the US. So I formed a Pop Nigeria Initiative on climate education. And this initiative was meant to educate people about climate change and promote behavioral changes towards people in addressing climate change impact, and also talks to people about how they can be able to take sustainable actions to stop these induced climate change disasters from occurring in their communities. And when it occurs, how they can be able to adapt to make sure that the disaster is reduced to a drastic level. And the Pop Nigeria Initiative, formed in 2020, was a risk initiative, I would say, when it was formed at initial, because during that process, we had a lot of conflicts in the northern region of Nigeria. We had high level of kidnap cases, open fires, communal clash, and the likes. I remember in a community where I tried to implement this project in Anambra State, Nigeria. I was vulnerable to open fires. So it was more like I couldn't secure a place to stay. That's like accommodation. I couldn't have a place to lay my head, and I couldn't also sleep well because of that particular incident. So my life was even at risk, but the project needed to be implemented because people need to know about the need to be educated about climate change, and they need to take action, because this climate change in Nigeria has led to insecurity. It has also led to desert encroachment. It has led to migration. It has led to water scarcity. It has led to drought and desertification, contributing to climate change-induced losses and damages, which could be economic and non-economic. And so far, the Pop Nigeria Initiative has been able to reach out to over 200,000 of its target population. And in this 200,000 of its target population, 75% are children with over 200 secondary schools. So we've been able to cover over 200 secondary schools, 10 tertiary institutions, and 15 communities in 30 out of 36 states of Nigeria. Nigeria is made up of 36 states, and in 36 states, we've been able to reach out to 30 states in remote communities. So it's not like we've covered those states holistically, but in remote locations. And we also mainstream gender equity and equality in addressing food crisis, and also awareness creation about climate change and promoting sustainable environmental practices. By mainstreaming gender, we also try to see how we can educate the female gender about climate change, because we know that climate change has gender-based violent footprints. For instance, communities that are affected by climate change disasters, the girls can't go to school, they have low coping mechanisms, and in a situation where they get to see their menstrual cycle, that becomes a major problem, which could also lead to outbreak of infectious diseases and illness. So, also, you know that in developing or underdeveloped countries like Nigeria, the female gender contributes about 80% of the farming produce. So we have 80% of female farmers 80% of farmers who are females in Nigeria compared to the male farmers. So the farming in Nigeria is more engaged by the women. So in a situation where we have flood, we have famine, we have drought in Nigeria, the female gender is more affected. So these are also gender footprints of climate change in these disasters that we try to address by making sure that the females are more educated and also they are empowered with hybrid seedlings that could help them promote their farming activities. And our innovation is we've tried to use technology to mainstream climate change education in advancing the spirit of locally led climate action and connect it with global community on how to take meaningful climate action for their community. Because we believe as the world advances, technology also brings more advancement in knowledge sharing and in exchange as well in that regard. So what we do is to make sure that technology is promoted and also is taken into high level of consideration in addressing climate change issues. And we believe this has given birth to a lot of innovations. This has also given birth to a lot of solutions in that regard. And we cannot be able to shy away from the need to include technology in addressing climate change issues, especially in the area of knowledge sharing and in the area of promoting sustainable environmental practices and escalating the actions for others to see and take necessary actions in addressing these issues as well. Sorry, excuse me. Just... Okay. So next is act now. So we are all calling on everybody to act now. If you can see, we have three pictures here. And in these three pictures, I would like to go back to this slide. In these three pictures, this is a three picture. These are three pictures. And the first is a wasteland. The second is a farmland. And the third is a produce. Now, this wasteland was founded in a school where I taught students on agroecology, on regenerative agriculture using agroecology process. And from there, we turned this wasteland to a farmland, which is this. And in this farmland, we applied pure agroecology process from land restoration using composites from cows, chickens, and the likes to restore the soil nutrients and fertility. And from this process, we planted cucumber, watermelon, ewedu and amala. Ewedu and amala is a Yoruba vegetable that is used to prepare ewedu and efo rather. Is ewedu and efo. They are Yoruba vegetables used to prepare Yoruba indigenous dishes. And when we planted, before planting this on this land, the teachers who we educated, which we are females entirely, like I said, we also mainstream gender in addressing climate change issues, which we are females entirely, doubted the possibility of these seedlings growing on this land because the land is not fertile, is degraded, and there is no possibility of anything growing on it. So what we did was we test run. This was more like a pilot project. We test run it and we found out that the vegetables were actually doing well more than any other vegetable, and the leaves were actually coming out well. The colors were good. And afterwards, seeing this harvest, we gave teachers the seedlings to take to their homes and replicate as well. So we trained about 40 teachers who also replicated the same projects in their homes. And with these projects and them replicating it have also addressed the issue of food insecurity in their homes and in their community at large, because we believe once they do it, their community will also see the need for them to replicate more in a larger scale. And we are calling on everybody to act now. This is also a school where we empowered students and the school itself with over 300 economic trees and with 200 fruit trees as well. So in this school, we did landscaping for the school. We planted over 300 domestic trees, including mixed with indigenous trees, and we also take it to remote communities in schools, educating them. That is the picture you will see here, educating them about the need to plant trees in their communities, in their schools. And this is part of our agroecology projects we also do and carry out in schools. And we are calling on everyone to change the narrative. We know that we cannot be able to reach out to the world at large. However, at the moment, we've been able to replicate this project in over 5 African countries where they pick up climate education as a major project, educate students in schools, and empower schools with trees. So far, we've been able to plant over 4,000 trees across Nigeria. I remember in the community during the COVID-19 pandemic, we planted about 4,000 mangroves in a particular community to strengthen their resilient approach towards climate change induced disasters influenced by flooding and water tide. So we planted our 4,000 mangroves in that community, and in 2022, we are able to even plant more trees. So we planted over 4,000 trees within the space of 2 years, and we hope to do more in 2023. And during the COP27, I also participated in COP27, leading a lot of demonstration. You can see here, and I was given an award as the best climate change actor for the pop movement, and I led loss and damage actions during the COP27 for the week 1 and the week 2 of the COP27 engagement, and we saw what happened during the end of the COP27. That was my first COP, and I said to myself, and Tina was also here, and I said to Tina that if this COP doesn't deliver, I think I may not come to COP anymore, because I don't think I have to waste my strength or my time to come to a COP that wouldn't have any results. So one of the things that changed the narrative for me in COP was to make sure it was seen that my demand or our demand was met. And I was really happy that I was part of the persons that led these demonstrations. And at the end of the COP27, we saw that the loss and damage fund was captured. So there was a provision for loss and damage fund, and also the operationalization for the Santiago Network on loss and damage. As you can see, this was our meeting with the EU. So I'm a climate pact ambassador for the EU, and we also met with the EU during the COP27, and I remember asking them intensively about the need for loss and damage fund to be created, and also the progress in making sure that the Santiago Network for loss and damage was being operationalized during the COP27 conference. And I'm happy that these whole demands were actually implemented during the COP27 conference, and that's part of my major acts, and I'm really, really happy, and I thank God that these demands were actually met during COP27. And thank you so much for taking out your time to listen to me, and I hope to engage more with everyone here. You can reach me out. This is my email, samuel@thepopmovement.org. On Twitter, you can also follow me on Twitter at Samuel C. Okorie. My LinkedIn, Samuel C. Okorie. Facebook, same thing, and Instagram, same thing. And I hope to act more and also to get everyone on board in taking climate action to protect our planet. Thank you so much, and I'm wishing us all a lovely moment. Thank you.